शांति शांति
So my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yesterday we have went through the research process and steps of research, and we have learned research process. In research process, we have learned aim, objectives, and formulation of question or hypothesis. And after that, we have learned about the literature review, data collection, and all this. Now, today we will discuss the methods of research. See, if any research, any kind of research, it is based on some principles, on some applications, logic, process. So they have divided these researches in a classification. So research, as you know, research has a different types. So according the type may be come in a class wise. So today we will learn about the classifications of research on different logics, process, applications, objectives. So that will come in your syllabus topic, methods of research. So on the basis of logic, there are two types. What are the two types? Deductive approach and inductive approach. We have already discussed about deductive approach and inductive approach, but according to the logic, it come under the deductive and inductive approach come under the basis of logic, right? So in this, deductive and inductive approaches, see how deductive approach and inductive approach follows. In inductive approach, you can see that a social phenomenon is observed, right? And after observation of the social phenomena, what happened? Data collections, possible data is collected on the possible reasons, like what it occurs and trends in the data which are examined, right? And after that, a theory is developed from that data to explain the social phenomena. So this is the approach of the inductive approach. And in deductive approach, see, here is also a social phenomena observed. A theory is developed to explain why it occurred, right? And after it, the theory is tested through research, and the theory is either accepted, rejected, or revised. So these are the two process or a approach in on the basis of logic, right? Remember this. Question can come, means deductive or inductive. They can ask you what is the basis, so they can give you option in the examination, that logic or anything application. So this kind of questions will come in the examinations. So what is deductive approach? We have already discussed that in the deductive approach, we start from theory and try to prove it right with the help of available information. It is additionally also named as a top down or general to specific methodology. What it involves? It involves three steps. What are the three steps? State the hypothesis, collect information to check the hypothesis, make the choice to acknowledge or dismiss the theory. This is the deductive approach. And B was his inductive approach. We are learning deductive approach and inductive approach under the methods of research. And under the method of research, the basis is, what is the basis?
On the basis of logic.
Correct. So observe the different phenomena in the world, make a search for a pattern, make a generalization about what is occurring. It is also termed as a bottom up approach or specific to the general approach, right? Next, classification of research on the basis of process. First we have learned logic, next is process, basis of process. So on the basis of process there are two type of researches came. One is quantitative, another one is qualitative research. So quantitative research, estimation of the amount is trailed by quantitative research. It is relevant to phenomena that can be stated in terms of quantity, right? In quantitative research, the phenomena can be stated in terms of quantity. It involves collecting and converting data into numerical form, right? It convert the data into numerical form. We can do statistical calculation and draw conclusions. It is similar to a deductive approach because deductive approach is more scientific and objective. After that, in on the basis of process, we have went through the quantitative. Now next is qualitative research. So what is qualitative research? We have already discussed, but we will discuss it again and again. We have to repeat it, we have to learn it, we have to read it. In this way the research aptitude will be automatically feed in our brain. It is worried about subjective marvel, that is wonders identifying with or including quality. For instance, where we are keen on exploring the explanation behind human conduct, we very discuss inspiration research, a significant sort of qualitative research. It is basically inductive in nature and has a very different structure. The researcher starts with the tentative idea or question, and these questions become more specific and progressive in research. So on the basis of the process, we have discussed two type of research which comes under on the basis of research, that is quantitative and qualitative research. Now, next is based on objectives. So, classification of research on based of objectives are five types. What are five types? Descriptive research, correlation research, exploratory research, explanatory research, and experimental research. We will discuss about descriptive research. It is quantitative research method. In basic words, descriptive research is tied in describing the phenomena, right? As its name represent dis- descriptive. So descriptive means describing the phenomena quantity and making inferences from it, right? The reality of discovering request and the field studies are the primary substance of descriptive research. The fundamental attribute of this strategy are that the specialist has no power over the factors. He can just report what has occurred or what's going on. Remember these lines, like a specialist or a researcher has no power over the factors. He can just report what has occurred or what's going on. This is what about descriptive. And descriptive research has a tools to collect the data. What are the tools or what are the descriptive research are there? Survey studies, post facto historical research, and analytical research. These type of research come under which category, which classification? Descriptive research. Type of descriptive research, here is survey studies. Survey research is that branch of a social scientific investigation that studies large and small population by selecting and studying sample chosen from the population to discover the relevant incidents. Ex post facto research we have already discussed. In this kind of research, the independent variable or a variable have already occurred, in which the researcher start with the observation of a dependent variable or variable. Historical research, it is similar to ex post facto research. It normally focuses on the historical part of an issue of interest or problem. Analytical research, in this research method, the researcher uses facts or information already available, and it endeavors to make a basic assessment of the material. Now, after the descriptive research, another classification or another research is correlation. We have read that there are five research which come under on the basis of objectives. So, correlation research, the purpose of this research is to explore whether there is any relationship of interdependence between two variable or characteristic, and to ascertain the degree of such relationships. The value of correlation research is to discover relationship among phenomena with a view to predicting and in some situation controlling their occurrence, right? Basically, in a correlation research, what we prove a relationship between where two variables or its characteristic, right? And in explanatory research, it attempts to answer how and why between two aspects of a situation or a phenomena. For example, why examination related stress lead to rote learning, why and how stress leads to heart disease. So this is as its name shows, that explanation, we need to give a explanation of a situation or a phenomena between the two situations or two phenomena. We give a explanation, that is called explanatory research, and it gives the answer how and why between two aspect of situation or phenomena. Next is exploratory research. It is generally done at the beginning of the research. It is attempted to investigate a territory where little is known, right? Or to examine the potential outcomes of undertaking a specific research study, and is much the same as plausibility study or a pilot study. It endeavors to explain why and how there is a connection between at least two parts of a circumstances. So exploratory means by the exploratory research, I hope you have already seen somewhere in your government process. There are a lot of pilot studies or a pilot case studies. They introduce before implementing any kind of planning or a project in government. Basically, this pilot study, they do it on a small portion, and after successful result of that pilot study, they implement it on a larger population. So they first explore the small population and its result, the result of the research, and they implement it on larger population after the exploration. So basically, whatever you explore in a particular research, it is called exploratory research. And see, investigate a territory, it's mentioned here, where little is known, or to examine the potential outcome or undertaking a specific research study. Next is experimental research study. An experimental research has three characteristics as of follows. All autonomous variable is controlled. All the other variable except independent variables held steady. The effect of manipulation of the independent variable on the dependent variable is observed. Uh, see, experimental research basically here explaining is three characteristic. First is all autonomous variable is controlled, right? and all the other variables. As I have already said that there are two variables. One is independent variable and another is dependent variable. In all experimental research, these are the two terms which is very important. And always you manipulate the independent uh, variable, and other dependent variable will always be steady. Here is also mentioned in the second characteristic that all the variable except independent variable are held steady. The if and third characteristic, the effect of manipulation of the independent variable on the dependent variable is observed. The manipulation of the independent variable on the dependent variable is observed. So these are the main three characteristic of experimental research, right? Remember it. It begins with a question concerning the relationship between two or more variable. Simultaneously, the researcher develop one or more hypotheses to state the nature of the expected relationship. The experiment is the event planned and carried out by the researcher tries to get the evidence. So this is about the experimental research. Next, classification of research on basis of application. So on basis of application, there are two type of researches. One is fundamental research. We also call fundamental research is basic research or a pure research. We have already discussed in types of research. On the basis of application, these two type of research come under on basis of application. Remember this word, right? So first we will discuss about fundamental or a basic or a pure research. A research which endures constant and patient endeavors to find something new to enhance the human information in a principal design is known as essential research, right? This type of research helps in creating theories by finding broad generalization and principles. It is sorted out through various procedures of research like sampling, hypothesis, facts, etc. Whereas fundamental research can take shape in two different ways: discovery of a new theory, development of the existing theory. So this is what about the fundamentalist. Fundamental research is always discover a new theory and develop a theory of existing theory, development of the existing theory. Second, on the principle of application, second research was applied. So in applied research, fundamental research sets principle and applied research utilize those principles to know the problem with the best possible manner. This type of research is based on the application of known theories and models to the actual operational fields of population. Applied research is done to solve explicit useful inquiries confronting the general public. Right? Applied research is done to solve explicit useful inquiries confronting the general public. It can be utilized for approach detailing, organization and comprehension of a wonder. So we have discussed basis of logic, deductive, inductive. After that, we have discussed about process, and after that, we have discussed about what we have discussed objective, and the last was application, and the fifth one is the basis of a concept. Another classification is research is, basis is concept. So in a concept, we didn't discuss during study of a type of research. There are two type of research are there: conceptual and empirical. So these two type of research come in the basis of concept. So conceptual research, it is commonly utilized by philosophers and scholars to grow new concepts or to reinterpret the current concepts. It is identified with some unique thought or hypothesis. So in conceptual research, we can took Yoga Sutra and Brahma Sutra. These all philosophical texts we can consider in a conceptual research. Or in an empirical research, it depends on experience or observation alone, which is without due regards for system and theory. It is database research that comes up with conclusions that are capable of being verified by observation or experiment. So that is empirical research. Empirical word meaning is depend on a experience or observation of self. So on that observation or on that experience, what researcher do, they collect the data, and on that data they come up with a result and conclude it, and after the conclusion it is capable of being verified by observation or experiment. After the basis of concept, there is another research is action research. So activity research, the term activity examined was began during 1940s by Kurt Lewin, a German American social therapist who is broadly viewed as the originator of activity research. Activity research signifies learning by doing. In many workshops for students, for corporate organization, such kind of activity for human behavior and so many things. This research is action research they use. Activity research signifies learning by doing. It alludes to a wide assortment of evaluation, explore, and systematic research technique intended to analyze issues or shortcomings and help a specialist or a researcher to create feasible answer to address. Now, there are some features of action research. What are the features? It is situational and problem solving perspective, intervention in the real world, right? Intervention is always given in the real world. Adoption of alternative practices, immediate problematic situations, goals of social science, collaboratory and participatory co-learning. These are the features of action research. Action research process. The process of action research is they plan, they act, they observe, and they reflect. So this is cyclic basically. First they plan, they act, they observe, then they reflect it. So this is the process of action research. What is planning? The first thing to do is to analyze the problem scientifically in the specific perspective in which the problem has emerged. This is what about the planning means. uh, Analyzing the problem scientifically in a specific perspective is a planning. Next is action. After the planning stage, in which all the procedures of investigation have been determined, comes the action stage. The researcher has to administer tools to collect data and information. Systematic analysis has to be done. Result have to be recorded. This is what about comes under action. Next is observation. Observation has to be objectively done without any presupposition. The detailed observation, monitoring, and recording enable you to report your findings to others. And last one is reflection. Once the result have been obtained and analyzed and conclusion are drawn, you are ready to initiate changes in your teaching strategy. It is also aimed at adopting a new method, right? So this is all about the research methods. In today's class, we have discussed what we discussed. We will review in a few minutes. First, understand methods of research. Methods are different types. It's depend on the basis. And what are the basis? First is logic, and under the logic, deductive and inductive research approach came come, right? After that, what we have discussed research on the basis of process. So there are two type of research come under this basis: quantitative and qualitative. We have broadly discussed about the quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative research means that state in terms of quantity, right? And what we do in quantitative, we do a statistical calculations and draw conclusions. It is similar to a deductive approach. And in qualitative, it is inductive in nature and has a very different structure. The researcher start with a tentative idea or question, and these questions become more specific with progress in research. This is qualitative research, and both this research come under the basis of process. Third is classification of research based on what? Objective. And on objective, there are five type of research. First is descriptive, correlational, exploratory, explanatory, and experimental research. In descriptive research, we give a description in a form of theory. And in correlation research, we correlate two variables, and we establish a relationship between them. That is correlationship research. In exploratory then is a exploratory research where we explore something that is which is not known. This is exploratory research. And in explanatory research, we explain something which was not explained earlier. So in a form of thesis, and it gave a something to the world. That is explanatory research. And in experimental research, we do a experiment between independent variable and dependent variable, and we changes independent variable to check the result of dependent variable. So this is experimental research, and what is the basis of all these five researches is objective. These researches are objective. And in descriptive research, there are four type of research come under descriptive research. What are they? They are survey studies, ex post facto, historical, analytical. These four type of research came under descriptive research. Fourth one was basis of application. So on basis of application, two research come. One is fundamental, second is applied. And fifth was on the basis of concept. So on a concept, there are two research: conceptual research and empirical research. And last one was action research. So action research we have already discussed. So this is all about today's class. Is there any question? No? Okay. So can we say good night for today?
So the last one, conceptual research.
Hmm.
It's a part of which research is a itself is a some basic research or some other.
See, a concept means come under this kind of research. See, if we see a Yoga Sutra, so how it come? There is a concept. All Yoga Sutra means are connected to each others. They are giving a concept about yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. So this is the type of conceptual research. Means
Okay,
what
sir.
Maharshi Patanjali did. He read lot of shastras, and from that shastras he took Ashtanga Yoga, and that Ashtanga Yoga he given in four uh, what we call pad, right? Vibhuti pad, and what first pad is? What is the name? I forgot it.
Samadhi pad.
Samadhi pad,
Samadhi.
sadhan pad, Vibhuti pad, and last is Kevalya pad. So this is a concept, right?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So please, who will do a closing prayer? I'll tell the name. भविष्य जी आप करेंगे क्लोज? प्रार्थना
Okay, sir. Okay.
हाँ चलिए प्लीज
Sit comfortably.